Wow, what an opportunity. So happy to be here with you tonight. So, as a deep thinker and someone who is mindful and observant, I've taken a look at how communication exists in our daily interactions with each other. And I'm here to share how I've applied this awareness into my pedagogy. As an art teacher, my classroom is a community of sacred space, of acceptance and individuality, where everything matters. And ideally, I really want it to come out in their artwork. In order to build a space where students feel welcome, valued, and heard, I like to know how they're doing, but I seek authenticity and openness. What I'm going to share is about our responses to the most common question we encounter on a daily basis. How are you? Through my observations, I've noticed a pattern, not just within the school community, but everywhere, which led me to think, what can I do as a teacher to break this pattern, and what positive can come from it? At the beginning of the school year, I like to discuss this with my students, so they are aware, but I introduce it as a social experiment. The first student comes into class, and I quickly tell them what I'm going to do and what they should listen for when I ask their peers how they are. By the end, the student is pretty shocked, but it leads into a great conversation. Now, when you came in this evening, I actually did the same experiment. I had students greet you at the door, they asked you how you are, and they kept track of how you responded. Now, just like what happens in my classroom, your responses met my predictions, and 85% of you responded with fine and good, which in a way validates why I'm here. So, with all of our different backgrounds and all of the range of emotions we can feel throughout the day, and all of the adjectives that we can possibly use, why is it that we generally only respond in these ways? And more specifically, good, fine, well, okay, great, all right, and tired? Now, all of these are valid responses, but why are they generally only the responses? Through my time analyzing this, I've come to an understanding that these are conditioned responses and have become an automatic response. When we were children, we were taught to be polite and respond when people asked us how we are. And we generally used those basic vocabulary words. But that's all we learned, was just respond. Time is also variable. We're constantly moving. So giving an extra moment to reflect seems almost impossible. Or we're just not willing to slow down and think. We greet each other, discuss the essentials, and move on. Students, teenagers, believe that if they're open too much, that it may have an impact somewhere. So they're even more prone to just respond in a socially acceptable manner. Now, there's always the fact that within the social atmosphere, that it's not okay to be open and show vulnerability, which ideally we should be able to. If something's going on in our lives, we're having a difficult day, or even an amazing day, we should have people that are willing to listen. So why is this worth talking about? Well, ultimately, it's to build better relationships with my students and help them create habits that are more authentic and build confidence in how they can express themselves more openly and honestly. And in return, it also helps develop empathy. It's so easy to be stuck in our worlds, so it takes some time and practice to learn how we can and should care about others. So how do I do this in my class? So after I ask my students how they are, I give a follow-up question, which is the ultimate key. So when my students respond with those common answers, good, fine, well, okay, great, all right, tired, I ask, how so? Or what does good mean for you right now? Students are generally surprised, and they usually say, I don't know, because they've never actually been challenged to think about this. So what else I do? I lead by example. I demonstrate a dynamic range of responses, for instance, calm, content, exuberant, phenomenal, challenged, and I follow up that with why. This not only helps them see that I'm human, but how the power of words can help us better understand each other, especially with more context. I also wait. I give them a moment to think and process, learn how to be more self-reflective and self-aware, which can be challenging. My responses are sincere and genuine. As a teacher, I know that I can lose any opportunity of building better relationships with my students if I'm not actively listening. Students won't care to be open if when they do share, it doesn't go anywhere. I do this consistently all the time. And through time, these waves of positive energy and investment make a great impact. Let me give you an example. I have an amazing student who's constantly buzzing through the pressures of his day. I'm always telling him to slow down and breathe. But I've been fortunate to see through this last year that our communication has become very authentic and our relationship has been built around trust, understanding, and it's a place where he knows he can be open. He also knows that I won't accept a common response, so I actually see him think, reflect, be more self-aware, and share what's going on in his life. It's incredible to see how this has opened up our conversation to be more genuine and rich. The learning space I cultivate is for students to understand that we should invest in others. Society is continually challenging how we communicate with each other authentically, so it's even more important that we engage with each other on a deeper emotional level. We all need to feel valued, heard, and validated. We need to feel our feelings matter. My students matter. And this process allows more doors to be open. So, what is good? It's a movement, a challenge we can all take to enrich our relationships and practice in our daily lives, especially when we're learning how to be more mindful with each other, showing empathy. So, the next time someone asks you how you are, think, feel, respond. And when you ask them how they are, inquire more. You'd be surprised on how much that little bit makes such a big difference in your time together. Thank you for your time.